SEMA 2011. It was a heck of a show. Lots of exhibitors, lots of people, lots of enthusiasm. What'd you think, Mark?
I was overwhelmed. Every time you come here, there are literally thousands of cars, any one of which, if you just saw on the street on a regular day, you would stop and look at it and talk about it and think, wow. Right. You come here and there are a million of them. It's overwhelming.
Of course, there were winners. Best, hottest car was the Camaro, the Wrangler, the F-Series, and of course the Fiat 500 all took home awards this year. It's a relatively new thing they've been doing for just 2 years. The Camaro's won 2 years in a row. I actually think it's a very good feature to have. I mean, there's so much here, you might as well try and stay current with the latest trends.
I had a couple favorites, as I'm sure everybody did. I love that SoCal Streamliner.
Beautiful car.
Up on the Ford stand, put together by Dan Webb.
Heck of a car.
There were just a bunch of them all over the place.
Well, I mean, you know, speaking of the GM thing, there was 100 years of Chevy, 110 years of Ford racing, really big milestones, really enjoyable things to experience as an enthusiast because, you know, the great drivers like Carroll Shelby, Parnelli Jones, Brian Deegan from, you know, more contemporary times, all these guys were here to help celebrate that, and it was very cool. And Chevy, of course, rolled out a 1970 Chevelle, which they used as sort of like a test bed, authentic frame, more of a modern body, with 2 crate motors you can drop in, with the transmissions already pretty much tuned up. To me, this is the greatest way to show off how you have this modern technology they can use in your old hot rod.
Another interesting thing that I noticed here, and it may turn out to be something that may not, was sort of the rise of the B cars, the B-class cars. The little things like this. Chevy is really pushing the Sonic, so that's all over the place. But you also had the Kia Rio. Outside of the show, Honda's made a big deal with its fit in B-spec racing. These things could become something. In not too recent history, it was considered that these cars were too small for the American market, that Americans would not buy cars that small. But I think nowadays, Americans are starting to realize that they like the efficiency and the gas mileage that you get from those cars. And here in the aftermarket is realizing that and is putting a bunch of stuff on the market for those cars.
And what's interesting too about that is traditionally you think, hey, I need a big car to customize it, to make it cool, to have the wheels, to have the aero treatments, usually to have a very big engine dropped into it, but these small cars actually worked out really well. You know, everything was done sometimes in good taste, sometimes not, but having a little less sheet metal to work with did not detract from it at all. I mean, the Cruise Dusk, that was a very cool car. They did the same thing to a Sonic. All these Fiestas had crazy wings on them, lowered, amazing paint jobs. I mean, to me, these cars looked as good as if, you know, the same Tudor company had done the same thing to, say, a Fusion or a Taurus.
It could be the second coming of the import scene. Who knows?
It's SEMA. It's fun stuff. It's serious because there's lots of dollars, lots of jobs at stake here. And I think what you're seeing this year is a little bit of a resurgence with economic times coming back, things getting a little bit better. What you're seeing is companies spending money again. You're seeing some of the extravagances you haven't seen in a couple of years. And for, you know, your regular car guy, that's a good thing.
Yeah, there were no empty spots on the floor, on the show floor. Everything was packed. There were people, wall-to-wall people here. There is really strong economic resurgence in the aftermarket.
You saw a lot of the extras too, like the test tracks. Ford had one out front, Chevy was doing ride and drives in the back. A whole other bunch of car companies were doing really interesting things where you could actually sample their products. Race car drivers were giving rides. It was, you know, as basically a bit of a 3-ring circus as you would expect SEMA to be. It's Vegas, it's SEMA. I think we had a good time.
Yep, and we're done. We're getting in cars, driving home, getting in planes, flying home, as pretty much by the time you see this, everybody will have gone. All this space will be replaced by what? Garden and Rake Implement Con 2011 or whatever the next one is.
SEMA 2011 is history.
So long from Las Vegas, Nevada.
He's Mark Vaughn, I'm Greg Migliore, and this is Auto Week.